Every story has a villain. Batman has the Joker, in Star Wars we have Darth Vader, and in Hollow Knight we have a giant moth. This giant moth is the Radiance, and the Radiance is essentially a giant toddler throwing a tantrum, but we'll get into that later. So sit back, relax, and we'll go over her big tantrum in detail. In the ethereal world of Hallownest, legends whisper of a being of pure light, an entity whose existence predates the memory of the kingdom's oldest denizens. This being is known as the Radiance, a deity-like figure that once held the hearts and minds of all with its luminous embrace. It was a time of harmony where the Moth tribe revered the Radiance as their god, basking in the warm light of his presence. But as time marched on, the winds of change began to stir. The arrival of the Pale King marked the dawn of a new era for Hallownest. With his enigmatic allure and promises of a higher consciousness, the Pale King drew the adoration of the kingdom's inhabitants, who turned their backs on the ancient deity. The Radiance, once the center of worship, found itself fading into the annals of history. Its once mighty influence waned as the Pale King's reign ascended. Basically what Jordan did to Kareem. The Moths, swayed by the Pale King's charisma, abandoned their allegiance to the Radiance, severing the bond that had sustained the god's powers. As the Radiance light dimmed, so too did its hold on the world. But the Radiance would not be forgotten so easily. In the depths of its forsaken temple, a plan began to form, a way to remind the world of its splendor and reclaim the devotion that was rightfully its own. Thus begins the tale of the Radiance in Hollow Knight, a story of light and shadow, of gods and kings, and of a world struggling to find balance amidst the echoes of a forgotten divinity. As the Radiance light waned, a new sovereign rose to prominence in Hallownest. The Pale King, a being of enigmatic origin and immense wisdom, emerged. With his arrival, the kingdom entered an age of enlightenment, as the Pale King bestowed upon its subjects the gift of higher thought and the promise of an eternal kingdom. The Pale King's influence was profound, and his vision for Hallownest captivated the hearts of its inhabitants. The Moths, who once worshipped the Radiance with unwavering devotion, found themselves drawn to the Pale King's grandeur. One by one, they abandoned their ancient deity, turning their prayers towards the Pale King and his promise of prosperity. This shift in worship was not merely a change of heart, it was a betrayal that cut to the core of the Radiance's being. The Moth's desertion severed the bond that had sustained the Radiance's power, leaving it to languish in the shadows of obscurity. The Pale King's ascendancy marked the decline of the Radiance, as its once majestic light dimmed to a mere flicker. The Radiance, however, refused to fade into the annals of the forgotten gods. It seethed with a quiet fury, a deity scorned, its pride wounded by the fickle nature of its former worshippers. In the silence of solitude, the Radiance plotted its return, yearning to reclaim the reverence it had lost. As the Pale King's rule solidified, the Radiance's presence lingered like a distant memory, a whisper in the dreams of the bugs of Hallownest. It was a reminder of a time long past, a warning that even the mightiest of lights could be extinguished by a shadow of betrayal. The conflict between the Radiance and the Pale King set the stage for the unfolding drama of Hollow Knight. It was a clash of ideals, a battle between the allure of new promises and the comfort of old allegiances. The kingdom of Hallownest found itself caught in the middle, its fate intertwined with the wills of two divine beings vying for supremacy. The Radiance's anguish simmered beneath the surface, its once glorious form now obscured by the shadows of neglect. But the deity was not content to fade into oblivion. It sought a way to reclaim its lost dominion, and thus the infection was born. The infection manifested as a malevolent force, a creeping plague that seeped into the dreams of Hallownest inhabitants. Those who slumbered found themselves ensnared in nightmarish visions, their minds twisted and corrupted. The once peaceful bugs now roamed the land as mindless husks. The infection spread like wildfire, consuming all in its path. Kinda sounds like COVID. The Pale King, too, felt its effects, as his knight succumbed to its madness. The White Palace, once a bastion of power, crumbled under the weight of the encroaching darkness. The Radiance reveled in the chaos. It revealed the irony that the very bugs who had forsaken it now danced to its tune. But the infection was not merely a curse upon the bugs. It was a reflection of their inner turmoil. The Radiance fed on their fear, their doubt, and their longing. It whispered promises of salvation, of a return to the light, and the infected bugs followed blindly, desperate for a release from their torment. And so, the once idyllic kingdom of Hallownest became a battleground. The Pale King struggled to contain the spreading plague, but his efforts were futile. The Radiance's revenge was complete. The bugs now suffered as it had suffered, forgotten and abandoned. In the heart of this turmoil stood the Knight. The Knight's journey was one of discovery, of unraveling the truth behind the infection and the Radiance's role in it. As the Knight delved deeper into the kingdom's depths, it faced the infected creatures, each a testament to the Radiance's wrath. The climax approached. The Hollow Knight, a vessel created by the Pale King to seal away the radiance, awaited its fate. The knight stood before this twisted shell, faced with a choice: to embrace the radiance and become its vessel, or to break the cycle and challenge the deity itself. The knight's decision would shape the destiny of Hallownest, a world torn between forgotten gods and the echoes of betrayal. And so, the stage was set for the climactic battle, where light and shadow would clash, and the truth of the Radiance's existence would be laid bare. The knight's resolve would be tested, and the fate of Hallownest hung in the balance. If you choose to battle the Radiance and defeat her, the infection that plagued Hallownest is no more. The knight, having made the ultimate sacrifice, had become a beacon of hope, a symbol of strength and resilience that defined the kingdom's inhabitants. The legacy of the Radiance and the Pale King continued to echo throughout the kingdom. Their conflict had shaped the course of Hallownest's history, a tale of ambition, betrayal, and redemption. The Pale King's vision for an eternal kingdom had been noble, but it was the Radiance's desire to be remembered that had ultimately led to the kingdom's downfall. The knight's journey had not been in vain. As Hallownest began to rebuild, the scars of the past remained. The ruins of the kingdom served as a reminder of the battles fought, the lives lost, and the sacrifices made. But it also stood as a testament to the enduring spirit of its people, a spirit that could not be extinguished even by the brightest of lights. The lore of the Radiance and Hollow Knight is a complex tapestry woven with themes of memory, worship, and the consequences of neglect. It serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that the gods we create and the idols we worship could shape the destinies in ways that we could not foresee. The Radiance, once a symbol of light and guidance, became a harbinger of destruction, a reminder that even the purest intentions can lead to ruin. In the end, the legacy of the Radiance is one of duality: light and shadow, creation and destruction, remembrance and oblivion. It is a legacy that will continue to shine, a faint glow in the annals of Hallownest's history, a whisper of a deity that once dreamed of immortality. The Radiance's influence lingers, not as a force of corruption, but as a reminder of its past. Its light, once a beacon of hope, had become a symbol of the dangers of unchecked power and the consequences of neglect. The kingdom's history books would tell of the Radiance's rise. The giant moth actually turns out to be a good villain, just with some very petty reasons. It's not my place to judge, I'm just here to go over the lore. Anyway, subscribe for more lore about bugs.